Lesson 4, we did the interior walls. In this lesson 5, we're going to talk about ceilings and roof. So we're going to finish and close up this model somehow. And turn on everything I've modeled. That's what we have so far. The simplest way to model a ceiling is to draw a rectangle around that perimeter, give it some thickness, say 8 inches. Triple click, group it. Create a layer for it. And put it on that layer. It doesn't mean that the entire space is that, right? The ceiling, but we have a ceiling for better or for worse. We can turn on and off that layer. When we're modeling a roof, I like to work from the exterior walls. Just so we can see what we're doing. I'm going to turn off the visibility of the ceiling and draw a rectangle around the exterior perimeter. In order to be consistent with the Revit model, I'm going to offset this. I think we said 1 foot to the exterior. 12 inches. Oh, there's a message from someone liking one of my videos. How apropos. Let's turn off everything else for now. Interior walls, exterior walls. So that's what I've modeled so far, and we have this border because I offset the original perimeter. So there's the shape of the roof, and it's a simple gable. This could not be much easier, midpoint to midpoint. And we said 5 and 12, so if the distance from here to here is 26 feet, 5/12 of that, 26 feet. So for every foot, we're going to have 5 inches, so 26 times 5. The peak of that roof is going to go to 130 inches. So let's move that 130 inches. No, that's way too high. What did I do wrong? Oh, half that, right? 26 is 13 times 5. 10 times. Should be 65 inches. Let's undo that. 65 inches. That's more like it. I can model the gable ends if I want. That's as easy as just connecting these two sides on either side. The finer parts of the roof I'm going to leave for later. Triple click this, make it a group. Create a layer for it, roof, and move it to that layer. Okay, so now if we turn on all the other layers, X-ray, you can sort of see what we've done so far. We have this model pretty much in its entirety here. Remember, we left out the back. We've got a little bit of an overhang of that roof, and we have a provisional ceiling. That is, oh, that was remarkably short, right? That will be the end of lesson 5. Lessons from this point forward would be the finer points of all that. Let's see what we have in Revit so far of the model, so we can compare. Well, Revit, we actually have the windows modeled. Made a mistake. I filled in the gable end in the SketchUp model. Let's see if we can put these side by side. Mistakes are good. They cause us to pause and contemplate what we've done. I'm going to close these guys for now, which I normally leave open. So if I'm looking at the model from that side, let's turn off entourage for now. Plants. And shadows. And we'll switch to hidden line. So what's the difference between this model and that one? The difference is we created gable end on this roof. This roof has a thickness, let's see. If we select the roof, we can see properties. It's a 12-inch roof. It's probably a lot thicker than it needed to be. I would probably switch that to some maybe generic 9-inch roof, more in line with what that actually is. I'm going to undo that for now because I don't want to save out this red. Oh, I'm missing a window here. We can fix that. Okay, so how do we fix what we did here? Basically erase the gable ends by erasing the line. Right, and then we want to offset those guys. And to make it consistent with the Revit model, I'm going to offset it to 12 inches. 12. What do we do here? Let's be consistent. Let's go vertically. Why don't we just connect them up like this for now? And then we're going to take that plane and go to the other end of this. So we just gave it some thickness, and now close that group. Now what we would have to do is take the walls the exterior walls and modify those to fill in that space. Maybe what I would do instead is create what are called gable end walls, which is what you normally do in construction. So it's a wall that sits on top of, if I were to turn off the visibility, whoops, not the visibility of everything. If I were to turn off the visibility of the roof, let me the ceiling. So we have to model when we pull that, we kind of messed up these planes, which we can heal very quickly by just drawing an edge. Okay? Close that group. So, gable end wall, remember we went to a height from the midpoint, went up 65 inches, was it? So from the midpoint, there's a couple of ways we could do this. Could draw a line from the midpoint of that 65 inches, and then to one end and the other end, and then push that out. Let's see if that lines up with our roof. So this is the very top of the roof. It would probably come down, you know, whatever the thickness of the roof. So let's make that line not 65, but 65 minus 12, that should be 53. And then to there, and then to there. If I were to erase the edge that we used to build it, and I think we use 6 inches to extract that. Right. We'll do the same on the other side. Midpoint 53, edge to edge, edge to edge. You're probably thinking there are other ways to do this. Yes, I could just draw that geometry, drawing the thickness of the geometry. This is just one way to do it. And take this 8 inches in that direction. So now all that has become part of the exterior walls. Well, we're missing, what are we missing? You have to be careful when you do that. When you pull, it nukes that front plane. Let's do the same on that side. Endpoint to endpoint. Then we can erase the line that separates them. I could do that on the inside as well. No, let's leave it at that. Close group. So that's what we've built so far. Back to SketchUp. Ceiling. There's some intersection overlap there, but we're not worried about that. And then there's the roof. We have to taper that ceiling. I think what I'm going to do with it is simply go Window, Component Attributes, and just give it a Z component instead of 114. What do we say? 9.6 includes the height of the floor. Let's see if we do 9.6. 9'6". Oh, that's 114. 8'6". And if we turn X-ray mode on, okay. Not very much ceiling height inside, but I think we're good for this model. So there's our SketchUp model is done, our Revit model is done. The finer points are to be continued.